Okay, guys, we got Carson Wells joining us today, so we'll go ahead and open it up.
Carson, just a obvious question to start off, but after you guys have had a chance to review the film and everything, just kind of go over it, what kind of things did you see, and has the mood just been much better coming off of a win now?
Yeah, I mean, winning solves everything, so that was great. But as a team and as a defense, we left a lot out there. I mean, we shut them out at the end of the day. That's great, but we left a lot of plays out there that we should have made and made it even bigger deficit.
Carson, were you at full health early on this season? I noticed you kind of limping around a little bit between plays against Arizona State. Did that bye week kind of get you back on track?
Yeah, I was struggling with just dinged up, a couple things here and there. Bye week was good for me, good for a lot of people. Came at a good time, helped reset our bodies and our mindsets coming in this second half of the season, that we're calling it.
So, Carson, last week you were going against an Arizona team that was playing a freshman quarterback, a guy who had just come in because the starter had been hurt the week before. This week you're playing against a team that has a senior quarterback, a guy who's played a lot of football. Just talk about the challenges of playing a guy who's been there, done that, seen a lot, savvy.
Yeah, as a defense, you want to give them a lot of different looks. I mean, odds are he's probably seen a lot of them. Cal does a lot of stuff well. They like to get a lot of big people in there and run the ball, so we got to be ready for that. It's going to be a physical game, and we got to get after him, put pressure in his face.
What did Saturday do for you? Just from obviously you weren't lacking confidence as a player, but being able to kind of break free and have those big plays, what did that do for you?
It felt good, honestly. Felt like I was back to my old self. Last couple games have been good. USC, we didn't get the result we wanted, but we played good. It felt really good, honestly, just to get back out there and be able to do what I know I could do and build off of that going forward and keep getting better each week.
Where do you feel like the defense made some strides during the bye week? Because we know you guys have played well most of the year, but had some games right before the bye where you didn't play as well as you wanted to. So where did you guys kind of make some strides from the bye week?
Big thing was we limited the explosive plays. We only had 4 last week compared to double digits the past few weeks. So that was a big stepping stone. We still had a couple penalties that were like face mask penalties on roughing the quarterback. We got to limit those, and we got to do a better job of stopping the run. I think they were like just over 4 yards per carry. We want that below 3. So moving forward, we got to keep doing a good job of that and limit the run, stop the run.
You have any bragging rights over Mackay and Christian now that you got a pick 6 and they don't? You get any good talk with those guys about that?
Yeah, I just let them hear it. I go golfing with Gonzo a lot, so I'm definitely going to let them hear that this week while we're at the range.
Carson, I know every week is different, but when you guys break a losing streak and you have a win like this, can that carry over, and is that something that you can really build upon as a team just mentally?
Yeah, definitely. It builds the confidence level. And I feel like football is a big game of like going in each week having momentum and whoever is playing the hardest. And it's hard to get up sometimes for each game, especially when you're losing. So definitely that win helps put us back on the right track moving forward.
I think that's it for the room. Troy, do you have anything on Zoom?
Yeah, actually we do. Justin, go ahead.
Carson, this is your 3rd season working with Brian Michalowski, and I'm just wondering the relationship you have with him and how has it been working with him, developing yourself under him when it comes to fine-tuning your technique and also just developing yourself as a more efficient pass rusher?
Yeah, definitely. Having him as a resource has been crucial in my growth as a player on and off the field. We've been in a couple different schemes together. The first season we were in like a Coach Tuck scheme. I didn't get to pass rush as much. And then last year, kind of let the chains off. And then this year, we're learning a new like NFL type system. So that's great. We've been learning and growing through a lot as well. This is his first like big time job as well. So he's just like a student of the game. He gives me what I need each week to be successful. He's been a huge help.
Okay, and if we don't have any more questions, actually, Dave Platty's got something he'd like to announce on the Zoom here.
Yeah, it'll come out later today. Carson was the Colorado chapter NFF Player of the Week for the state of Colorado. So that encompasses 10 schools that play football in the state. So he finished second for a lot of the other honors. He lost out to Devin Wood at Utah for the conference honor, and he was nominated for the Walter Camp Player of the Week, and I'm not sure who won that, but still something nice for your wall down the road, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else from Zoom? All right, I think we're good.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Carson. Next up, we'll have offensive lineman Kootch. And we will open it up to the room.
I'll just start with the same thing with you. I mean, kind of your thoughts on the mood of the team and just kind of what that did to get you guys off that losing streak and just kind of get your heads right.
It was definitely big. I mean, you saw, I mean, it felt like you could even see it, like the confidence of everyone grow as we were winning. So I think that was a big thing going into next week.
Kari, what did it do for the offense just late in that game to kind of break through and get into the end zone a little bit and see Brennan play with a little bit more confidence?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, you know. Trevor Wood's block punt, that was huge momentum. Carson's pick six, that was huge. And then, you know, we kind of rolled off of that. It felt like we kept rolling off and met our own scoring happen as well. It's huge.
So as a line, I think Brendan was only sacked once the other day, and it's more than you guys want, even one, I know, but it's better than it's been. So do you feel like you guys played a better game up front? And as you've watched the film, I mean, what kind of steps do you think you made?
Yeah, I definitely think you can tell we played a lot better. Obviously, Belu got sacked once, but it still isn't good enough. So, but there's a lot more promise and things to work on, I think.
Jerick hasn't quite had that breakthrough game yet this season like he did many times last year. Are there certain things when you're watching the film that seem like you need to kind of fix as a group, just as an offensive line, to kind of get that part of the game going?
I mean, yeah, I think there's like little things, and then if little things snowball, it can look like, you know, big issues, but it's really just, you know, hand inside here, you know, drive a little bit further there, hot play side there, and it kind of builds up, and it makes those, you know, where there wouldn't be a hole, it makes a hole.
How, I guess, I'm sure it's been frustrating, but maybe how surprising has it been as a group? I mean, you really only lost Will from last year, so most of the parts returned. I know Frank was coming in off an injury, but for you guys to sort of have had your struggles this year as an offensive line, how surprising has that been to you with basically the same group of guys?
I mean, I don't know about surprising. It's, I mean, you always want to have confidence in yourself and those around you, and I do still, no matter what happens. But, I mean, losing Will is a big deal, I think. I mean, he was our rocket left tackle, but I think we're just a little young. It's just, there's just more room to grow right now, you know what I mean?
So I think your first year here, you got to go back to Cal, the last game of the regular season, but you're from that area. So what does it mean to you to be able to go back there this week and be able to play in front of some friends and family?
I mean, I'm still a decent ways away. I'm like 3 hours north, but yeah, it's pretty cool to have my friends and family actually be able to come out and see me play.
That's it for the room. Troy, do you have anything on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom have anything? I'm not seeing anything. Nope.
Okay, then we'll call it good here. Coach Dorrell will be up at 2 o'clock.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Good game last week for us. It was good to see the fruits of our labor starting to pay off for us over the last couple of weeks. It was good to see it all come together a little bit better. I think there was a lot of progress made in every phase of what we did in the game. It was good to see some plays being made in all those phases, the things that we talked about and things that we drill from a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. So I was very encouraged to see our team respond and play at a pretty good level. And I think what we took from it is that we think we can get better, and we think we can continue to stress the details that give us to play our best football as we go through this second half of the season. So we're off to we got a win, and now we're off to Cal and getting ourselves ready for another big challenge that's in front of us. So any questions? I'm sure we have a few.
So, Carl, I know every week is a new week and every opponent's different, but you want to look at that, but then also how do you balance that with you want to try to build some momentum from this last week and carry over that feelings that these guys got from playing better and getting their minds right a little bit?
We definitely want to continue that momentum that was built from the game. You know, it was, I mentioned weeks ago when I felt we were making progress, but it wasn't quite showing on the field. That's what gets frustrating after a while when you're doing it well in practice and it's not translating to the field on game day. And I think we're getting over that hurdle. You know, we're starting to see the benefits of a lot of the stuff that we're doing to improve our football, and I think there's the light starting to glow now. They see the roots of why things are getting better, why we're playing better. Everybody has a job and a focus to get better at their role, that what they do, you know, within our football team, and I think that just coming out of the bye week and being very specific for each player to know what we are asking for him to be better at, that really probably was a huge bump for us, to really give them something specific to change in their game that is going to help us be better. And I think they took that to heart, and I think that was the reason why we had a good jump last week.
Nate Landman gets talked about a lot, gets a lot of accolades, and justifiably so, but Carson led the nation in tackles for a loss per game last year, obviously had a great game on Saturday. I'm just curious what it's been like for you coaching him here these last couple years.
You know, it's been a fast, year and a half. You know, we had him for 6 games last year and obviously played very well. I think he was more deserving of recognition than what last season provided for him. And this season he hasn't had quite that kind of start that he had last year, but he looked like his game is picking up. You know, he's getting in rhythm to being the type of player that he was showing that he was doing for us last year. It was fun to see him having some fun. You know, he was out there, in the backfield making some plays. He had a bunch of tackles for losses. He had a sack. He had a PBU, and he had an interception. So he had a very, very productive day, along with Nate Landman. Nate had a very productive day too. So it was good to see Carson kind of get in rhythm of making some big plays for us, and we're hopeful that he's going to continue that as we go into this week and through the stretch here.
Coach, a couple of things. Brendan Rice had a superlative game. Is he getting more confident, or are you just finding better ways to get him out in open space where he can make plays?
Both. I think he's getting more confident, and he is getting opportunities to make some plays. With some, we've made some adjustments in our offense, and that kind of utilizes and fits his skill set some. So I think it's both of those things. He's very confident, obviously playing a game he had with 3 catches and over 100 yards and a touchdown, and that he made some very impactful plays. That's going to help his confidence. And then I would say even prior to last week's game, he was making progress even in the prior games, but just not getting a lot of opportunities. So it's us trying to fit our personnel and making sure we're getting some touches on some guys that we feel that can make some big plays for us, that kind of showed up for us this last week. So we need to continue that path as coaches and trying to game plan and get guys in particular positions to make plays for us. And hopefully when their confidence keeps growing like it is, we can have more consistency and a lot more big plays. So, but I think last week's game was really indicative of what our potential is and where we can still push this thing even further.
Then another one with Brendan Lewis, you could just see his confidence grow, especially after that long pass. It was just so nice to see the kid so happy. And then he proceeded to have a really great game. Was at any point did you think, okay, he's doing good, can we get Drew in there to get some snaps? Did you think that at all? And
that did come up. It did.
Why didn't it work out?
It did come up. It did come up in the course of the game. But he was playing well, and I wanted him to keep feeling it. Right? I mean, he's your starter. He's playing a great game. We were planning on playing Drew the series after, our last drive, but we took some time off the clock and moved down the field, and we scored a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And then the defense did what they did, and so Drew didn't quite have as much time on the game clock as we would hoped. But when it came up in discussion, I felt Brendan earned this chance to play well and to play longer, just because he's worked so hard and he's, you know what I mean? It's like you said, you're building his confidence, you're building him getting in rhythm. You didn't want him to get out of that so quickly. And I wanted him to play that last series, which he did, and he went down and scored. But we were hopeful that Drew was going to have more time on the clock. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen that way. But am I surprised by his confidence? No, but I was cautious. It's like before the USC game. I knew that he had a great week leading up to that game, and it just quite didn't materialize in his favor for a number of reasons, right? And then this week, where we had the 2 weeks in this bye, and he made a tremendous jump of progress again. I was very confident that he would play well. And when he started playing well, I just wanted to keep him in there and let him play and feel it and get seasoned up on a good game where he's been very instrumental and been very impactful with it. So it was all those things that you mentioned. And we're very conscious of getting Drew his time. We want to bring them both along, and that's usually harder to orchestrate, given where we were in terms of just trying to find ourselves offensively. And hopefully this progress continues this week and on throughout the season, where we maybe get a chance to get Drew more time, as we move forward.
Karl, have you been surprised at the struggle it's been to run the football this year? I mean, you're averaging 3.5 yards a carry. You haven't had a 100-yard rusher, and it seemed like it was a struggle again this past weekend. But what do you see out of them in practice, and do you see signs that they're getting better, or where's the run game at?
It's more than just, it's one of those things about when you've hung your hat on running the football so much, then there's a lot of dedication that you see from a defensive standpoint of stopping the run. And so it was a combination of that aspect and knowing that we haven't passed the ball as efficiently as we've until this last week. A lot of teams were really geared to stop the run. So sometimes it's a matter of not having enough people to block when they have so many people that are in the formation front. So we've been dealing with that. That's part of our issue with the consistency of our run game, knowing that in most opponents' minds, if you stop CU's run game and they haven't been able really to throw it, we probably have the best chance of having success. And teams the last 3 or 4 weeks, that's what they've been doing. They've been trying to put the game in Brendan's hands. So that's why we had to get our passing game some relevance. It had to start to show some signs of life so that we can create balance and not play with such a hard box of running the football when teams knew that you couldn't throw it. So that's how they both go hand in hand. But that's not the only issue. We have not played as well as we could have as we've done in last year's past. It's really the same gentlemen that are playing, but we're just not playing at the level and consistency that we were a year ago. You know, sure, we lost one starter, but in Frank Phillips, I guess in his situation, he missed spring and all summer, and so he's played much better last week. So he's kind of now starting to get in the groove. Kari has always played well. Colby has been solid. You know, we've had some issues at, you know, the guard positions, you know, and the left tackle position with a young freshman that's playing there. So they're going through trial by fire in a lot of ways, just because it's their first year playing in a couple of these positions. And I believe we played better last week, which is going to tend for us to continue to shore up our issues on that in terms of our offensive front. And I believe we're going to play better now that we have our passing game that's really taken some steps too.
In your 12 games as head coach here, we've seen you be aggressive, fourth down, in short yardage situations. We've also seen you, opt to kick a field goal, opt to punt at times. What's usually going through your head in those situations? What's going on in the headset that kind of determines whether or not you're going to go for it in some of those situations?
It's just the feel it's weekly, how I feel in the course of a game, how the week went in preparation, how we're coming off the football, how we're protecting, how we're doing some positive things from that standpoint. I believe, and I know there was people that weren't happy with me taking the field goal on the first fourth down when we were down there inside in the tight red zone. Well, the first drive of the game, we get a chance to move the ball all the way down there, and we struggled in the short yardage aspect and a chance to go for it on fourth down. To me, it was not worth the risk of not getting any points. After having your first drive of the game, you go down the field and you're in scoring position. We felt that was a positive step for our offense to get some points out of that first drive and then to build off that as they continue to get going. So there's no I don't have a magic formula as to why and when I do that, but I do want to be more aggressive, and that's usually my nature. But because of the youth of our offense and how we haven't had as much consistency, it was very important to get points out of that drive and to start with a positive note and then continue to build as the game moves forward. So it worked out okay.
Karl, there was so many good storylines from this game last week that didn't even ask you about it the other day, but that goal line stand in the first half,
yeah,
where Arizona looked like they were going to go in and maybe take that lead into halftime. How big was that for the mindset of this team to get that stop and preserve that lead and kind of carry that into the second half?
It was huge. I mean, that was huge. I'm going to tell you, that to me, in my opinion, was the breaking point of the game. And really the possession that the offense had to finish up, to have the ball and to finish the second quarter and have the ball coming out in the third quarter. So to me, that's a big turnaround as to when the defense had that goal line stand and kept them out of the end zone. We're backed up again. It was our second time backed up. The first time we had to punt it, and we flipped the field. Thank goodness our special teams did a tremendous job in flipping the field. But then the second time down there, to me, that was just as important to gain a first down and to take the rest of the time off the clock. You're still deep in your territory. You're really not in a 2-minute mode because the field wasn't in your advantage at that time. But to be able to finish the half with them not getting any points and we're in possession of the football, and plus we get it at the start of the third, that's exactly what I wanted. So when you're down there in that situation, you don't want to do something foolish where you make a turnover or something like that. I mean, you saw the game last night in Monday Night Football. Gino, who I've had a history with when I was at the Jets, I mean, he's playing a great game. They're in overtime, and, they're getting ready to, they're trying to make a drive, and then the best player and one of the best pass rushers in the league makes a great play on third down and strips them, and now they're in position to kick a field goal and win the game. Those are scenarios that, believe me, I've been through a lot. And understanding that possession of the ball is just as important, even though you don't get any points, but having possession of the ball that takes it away from the opponent to score points, that's a win. That's a win. So I draw on all of those experiences But what you just mentioned, Brian, is huge. The goal line stand, and then for us not to do anything foolish, for them to gain another possession before the half to score, I think that was huge. Right. Well, normally you would love your 2-minute drive to start on the 30-yard line, right? But when if I remember, so it was a minute 48, it was under 2 minutes, and we're down inside our 5-yard line. There's a lot of things that can go wrong down there. You know, being too aggressive and throwing an interception or a fumble or something like that, they're in great scoring position. So to me, that was really huge for our offense to get a first down and then, you know, go into the game or going into the half with a 6-point lead.
Carl, a couple of weeks back, you mentioned you were going to poke your head into the offensive room. And I'm wondering how that's been going.
If you ask them, they say my head's in there too much right now. But that's my job, though. That's what most of my career I've been an offensive coach, you know, and I use the term, you know, I scratch where it itches. And if I don't think the offense is playing well, guess what? I'm going to have to step in and do something to help the offense. And that's what I've been doing the last few weeks. So Brian asked a question whether there was any systematic changes or anything in terms of responsibility. No, but I am being a lot more of an oversight, you know, manager, making sure we're doing the things that I think are for the best benefit for our players. And that's what I think that's gave me this opportunity of why I'm a head coach right now. So I think I'm going to utilize that strength as best I can to make sure the offense is moving forward, and I feel like I've been helping that process for the offense to move forward.
Have you felt it's been manifested in any way on the field, and what particularly?
I scrutinize everything, so it's everything. I felt, you know, our protection was better, for example. You know, we protected Brendan much, much better. I felt the passing game had to make some plays last week, you know, going against a very, very highly rated, you know, secondary that was ranked, you know, in the top 5 nationally in terms of pass defense. We needed to challenge that, and I felt we had some capable players that could, and we did. So I think those are two particular areas in our, you know, and we're talking about the rushing issues that we're dealing with. Well, part of that is because teams have ganged up on stopping us running the football so much that they give you one-on-one outside. And we got to be able to take advantage when we get one-on-one outside, and we did this past week. So those are all big confidence boosters, really big confidence boosters for our young receivers and Brendan to really build on. And today's practice was our best Monday we've had of the year. So that tells you how they feel about themselves and where they can take themselves. And we're heading in the right direction. We really are. And I think a lot of things will be shored up as long as we have this attention to detail and focus about playing our best football week after week, which is what this team is starting to do.
Hey, Carl, a couple of weeks ago you were asked about Levante Chenault. You indicated that he might be getting closer. Any update on where he's at and when his return might happen?
As of today, it's one more game. Yeah, he will not be able to play this week, and he's practicing and doing a great job and giving a great look for our defense. And we're giving him some of the stuff that we're doing offensively to kind of get him ready when his reinstatement does come in play, just to kind of make the transition smoother for him. But he's chomping, believe me. He wants to play, and you know, he wants to help, and you know, we all want all of our great players playing, but he understood he made a mistake, and he's going to deal with it just like he's been doing, and he'll be ready to go when that time comes.
Nigel Bethel got banged up on Saturday, and then I don't think we saw Shad Clayton suited up. Any updates on either of those guys?
Both of those. Nigel had, you know, he had his MRI today. You know, he's getting his knee examined. You know, right now it doesn't look so good. You know, I'm not going to be specific on it, but it, you know, just from the diagnosis, from what the doctors did on site, you know, it could be a very challenging injury. So, but we did the MRIs, and those things are going to be read. But it's unfortunate he'll be down for a while. And Ashad, he went through a minor procedure too, and he'll be back this week. But it's going to take he won't be back playing for at least another week or two.
So Trevor Woods was named Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week this week, and with that, and sort of with going off of Nigel, you got those young corners that are playing. When you're seeing these young guys that are making plays and playing, you and I have talked about. I mean, nothing helps recruiting more than winning, but does it also help recruiting when your recruits can see that there's true freshmen that are coming in here and playing and
Absolutely.
making an impact?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about Nico Reed, the last play of the game, the last throw of the game from Arizona. Great defense on a go route on the right side in the end zone. It was a 4th down play, and true freshman, right there, step for step, and right there making a play. So, absolutely. I mean, it helps to see that in recruiting that there's a young team that's out there competing and competing hard, and they got a chance to play early if they're capable of helping us win. And that's how we build our program. We're going to play our best players. If our best players are freshmen, he's going to play. I'm not back when I was in school and you were in school, Brian. We had to wait our turn, right? I don't believe in that philosophy anymore. I think the best players play. We put them on a pretty good track to graduate in 4 years anyway. So there's no reason of why we need to redshirt a guy just because. If we think a guy can play and help us now, he'll play. If we think a guy needs a redshirt, he redshirts. But I don't have a seniority aspect as to, we want our seniors to play and wait until they're done, and you freshmen get to sit behind. If he's better than those upperclassmen, he's going to be playing in front of those upperclassmen. So that's really our message in recruiting, and it's also, I'm excited about the future of our team. We have. These guys are going to be really, really good players in time, and they're starting to realize that now, and I think that's going to continue to turn in a faster rate, coming off of last week's game. So it's I think the future is going to be really bright.
That's it for the room. Troy, we'll open up Zoom.
Yeah, we have a question from Tyler King.
Hey, Karl. Thanks for the time. Just curious what you've seen on film from Cal's offense and what kind of challenges they bring, particularly going up against a experienced quarterback.
You just said it. The experienced quarterback. That's the biggest thing, I believe. Whenever you have a guy that's been a multi-year starter, they've seen most of the tricks of the trade from what defenses present. They can find some weak links. They can do a number of things, and so that's always the biggest challenge when you're playing against a guy that's a veteran, has been a multi-year starter. He's going to find ways to get his skill, the football, and make good decisions when there's blitzes, to be able to pick up blitzes and stuff like that. So those are all really, really things that we need to combat when we defend a quarterback like this. Now, they're balanced. They do a good job of really spreading the ball on the perimeter. They do try to attack you in some run game. And plus the quarterback is, he's pretty keen on, if he sees an opening, he can get to a play that he wants to get to. So it's going to be, a typical challenge from a veteran, offense that a guy that's seen a lot, he's going to be able to make some positive decisions for his team. We just need to minimize those positive decisions and hopefully make more plays than he makes.
Yeah, that should do it from here.
Okay, that'll do it from here, too.
Thank you,
Just
guys.
a reminder,
Ladies.
tomorrow, men's and women's basketball media day starts at 7:45 with